Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your technical critic, and I would like to tell you a little story before I begin this review. There was once a critic who reviewed Avatar The Legend of Korra. The first season, he hated it, for reasons that really he shouldn't have hated it for. The second season, he hated it even more, because it did even worse than the first season did. And then the third season came, and so bereft of hope he was that he sat down to watch it, and lo and behold, it was good. Despite the fact that there was no overarching story or there was anything particularly epic happening, the fact of the matter is the writing was so much tighter and the characters so much better developed that as a series it suddenly worked because we had interpersonal dialogue between characters. And then the middle of the season came and everything seemed to slow down, and the critic was sad because he said to himself, "My God, the writers are up to their old tricks again. Oh, we were fools to hope." And then, right in the midst of everything, episode 9 came out. And it was perfect. And lo and behold, the critic was happy. And at the same time, angry. Angry in ways that he could not even begin to describe. And that is what this episode was, people. Finally. I am so glad to say that I was wrong. I've never been happier to admit that I was wrong. In fact, I think that this is one of 5 occasions where I've admitted I was wrong about something. But I have to say this, and this goes out to Nickelodeon. This has absolutely nothing to do with the writers. I know that you're innocent in all of this. Nickelodeon, if you're going to release a series online, first of all, release the whole thing, because this episode leaves you not even wanting, demanding more. Demanding that you see what happens next. That is this episode. Trust me, I know what I said. I take it back. I regret it so much. I said, you know what? I wish that they would release these one at a time. Yes, it is my fault. I apologize to you, Avatar Korra Nation. It is my fault, and I also said I wish these were online. And lo and behold, not only did I get my wish, but in the worst possible way. I apologize to you. This is completely my fault. If you want to unsubscribe because of that, I do not blame you at all. Speaking of which, like, favorite, subscribe, leave a comment in the discussion section so that we can say this at the end of the review. Anyways, but this was such a good episode. But I'm so angry. Simply because, 1, I can't see what happens next, and 2, if you're going to put an episode online, do not region lock it. Look at all the successful shows out there, will you? Orange is the New Black. 12 seasons available on Netflix wherever you want. Sherlock. There is not a person on planet Earth or orbiting planet Earth who does not like Sherlock. And guess what? It's only 3 episodes that you can watch online whenever you want. You are encouraging people to steal your show, which is why you're not getting views. I live in Canada, literally a stone's throw away from the American border. I am not allowed to watch Legend of Korra online via Nickelodeon, simply because, I'm sorry, this video is not available in your country. Region locking is one of the stupidest things just anyone can do. It is the absolute worst. There are over 35 million, I think there's almost 40. There are 40 million people in Canada. If 1% of those 40 million people were to be watching you, guess what? That's 40,000 extra eyeballs looking at your ads, making you money. Don't region lock it if you're going to put it online, people. You're encouraging us to pirate it. And that will only be bad for the show, and this is such a good show. Alright, so let's talk about it. This particular episode was about Korra and her friends finally finding Zahir and making him talk. And while this was about half of the trailer scenes from the advertisement for episode 3, I have to say this. It felt so good to finally learn what our villains were up and about. And guess what? It is nothing less than world domination. These guys want complete and utter anarchy. Do we know how Zahir became an airbender? No, and it's still extremely infuriating, but you know what? I've got half of the story and I can work with that. Oh man. So they believe that the White Lotus has completely and utterly just disregarded its roots. And as such, they formed the Red Lotus, which they feel is meant to keep power in check. Which is true to an extent if you were to look at the original Avatar series. That is essentially what the White Lotus was about. They want no less than to overthrow all the governments, the presidency in Republic City, the Fire Lord, the Earth Queen. I'm not sure. I guess the kingship of the Water Tribes. I'm not sure how that one works exactly. But they want no less than complete and utter anarchy. And Korra basically says, you guys are crazy. That is crazy talk. It's sure, it's not perfect, but it's not worth a thing. And as soon as he says world leaders are horrible, if you remember back to episode 5 of the Metal Clan, what does Suyin immediately start with? She hates the Earth Queen because she feels that she's out of date. And right away, that little seed of doubt is being planted in the minds of the viewer as, uh-oh, here's this character we like. I think she might be a villain. I think she might be an unknowing villain, or it's a heavy red herring. I'm not exactly sure. But it's a good episode. They've made us wait so long for this. And finally, just finally. The art style was wonderful. It was very bright. It was very colorful. We spent about half this episode in the spirit world, so lots of good things happened there. Although, we end up with a 5-minute exposition scene in the middle of this as to the origins of the game of Pai Shao, which is interesting and all, but really, is that necessary? I mean, I know it's foreshadowing for something that comes along in the future, because I know that Pai Shao is really integral to the way that the White Lotus operates, and by definition, the Red Lotus. We also learned that Unalaq is still behind all of this. This was all Unalaq's doing. So you remember that top hat wearing villain from season 2 who was just horrible? Yeah. All this, Zahir. Well, at least now we know how he learned about spirituality. He clearly learned it from Unalaq, because Unalaq is this great spiritual water tribe leader. So he clearly taught Zahir spirit projection into the spirit world or something like that. Because quite honestly, if Zahir did not learn from a master, then there's no explanation for how he did it. I mean, let's face it, Tenzin could not enter the spirit world without the portals. And he was taught by Avatar Aang, the airbender. So, yeah, I don't know why any of us didn't see this sooner. It should have been natural. Okay, clearly Zahir is very spiritual. Here was a spiritual leader who went bad in the last season. These two things should come together. But you know what? It's a nice marriage. I didn't see it coming. I'm sure lots of other people didn't see it coming. I'm sure that plenty more people saw it coming. And rightfully, good on you guys. You predicted this. You're much smarter than I am. But this was a good episode, simply based on its art style, its content. Its action scenes were nicely spaced out. We had breaks in between. We had funny moments. Bolin was not as stupid as he normally is. He was kind of stupid, but not as stupid. He's getting better. He's still annoying me a little bit, but not as much as he used to. And to say this, when he was about to be killed, or almost killed, I was like, oh no, Bolin's going to be killed. Even though I've been advocating for someone to kill him, I said, oh no, he's going to drown. That's no. It's a love-hate relationship. That's all I have to say on that. So, Yep, that's my review of this episode. Good shows always have short reviews because I don't have anything to complain about. I've been going on for about 10 minutes, so let's get into the discussion. Okay, this week we only have a couple of comments. Unfortunately, I was unable to go and advertise this all over the internet the way I normally do because I ran out of internet. It's that simple. I ran out of internet and I had to wait literally till today to do anything in particular. So, let's get into those comments. So, our first one comes from the real Bucky. He says, not a problem if you butcher parts of the video, I still don't know how you do what you do. Well, allow me to explain how I do what I do. I do what I do because I love what I do. This is my hobby. I love reviewing things. I love putting things through the strainer and seeing what comes out the other end. Pompeii was a shitty movie. So was Godzilla. 300 and Hercules. Remarkably good. And simply put, I do this because I care about what people watch. I want them to have a good experience watching something, to not waste their time. Because when you have to sit in this theater for 2.5 hours because you paid $20 or however much for a movie ticket, it's expensive to go these days. It's money out of your pocket and it's time that you can never get back. So if I can prevent someone from wasting their time on something absolutely terrible, then I've done my job correctly. And also, this gives us, the people who love what the visual medium is, it gives us a place to come together and talk about what we love. Korra, I like the Avatar universe. I actually want Korra to do well. Despite the complete vitriol of my Season 2 reviews, I actually want Korra to do well. Despite how much I hated on it Season 2. I love this series, so I'm hard on it. I'm very, very hard on it. See, I gotta bring it back to Korra, otherwise it can't be part of our discussion. Alright, next thing. Bolin still did what he did best in Season 2, episode Night of 1,000 Stars. I thought that he really redeemed his behavior for Season 2. Okay. Let me put it this way. And I said this in my overall review. Bolin in Night of 1,000 Stars had one genuine moment with Asami when he was talking to her outside the sports stadium before Varric tried to kidnap the president, where he was talking about his brother and he's worried about his commitment to his brother. He likes his brother. He wants to believe his brother, but the thing he's saying sounds absolutely crazy. Varric seems like such a nice guy. He saved the company. None of this is adding up together. So why is this happening? Why is this happening? It's a genuinely nice moment. After that, the problem is this. They've been taking Bolin, they've been subverting his character for severe laughs. And I say severe laughs because most of the stuff he does is not funny. It just breaks up the scenes that he's in. It's called juxtaposition. It's where you have a serious scene and then you insert something humorous that doesn't belong there. It's not like you have a serious scene that pays off in a humorous bit. For example, in this very episode that we just watched, there is a serious scene where they're being chased by what they think are two bounty hunters. They track them down to a hotel, and guess what? It turns out they're fans of his work. They're fans of Nuktuk. They're nerds. They're basically nerds. They're heavily muscled nerds. And that's just the way it is. That pays off in a humorous way because it's completely not what you expect. What you expect is fight scene. What you get is, can you please sign this? And it works. It works, and I completely understand that. I've been in that situation before. Not on the receiving end, on the, you're that person. I know how this works. I have a very creepy face, that's why I wear this mask. Anyways, also, it lets you focus on the review, not how I look. So, Night of 1,000 Stars, you're right. Bolin did do what he was best at. But that's not what my beef is with Bolin. My beef is when the writers in particular subvert him for some particularly stupid slapsticky bit that does not flow with the character. Remember, people watch shows not to watch a show. The show is just secondary. People watch a show to watch the characters in that show. So we all watch Korra because we want to see Korra, Asami, Mako, and Bolin do their thing, interact with other people, and push the story that they're in forward. We're not there simply because, oh, it's an Avatar thing. No. People don't watch TV for that. People will look at TV for that, but they'll stay for the characters. And that's my issue. So that's the real Bucky's comments. He has a couple more here, but they're just personal messages. Okay. And Juan. Hello, Juan. Nice to have you as always. As always, go over to him, like, favorite, subscribe, etc. And here we go. He says, Episode 8 was good, but the title was misleading for me. Since it had the word terror, I assumed it was going to be extreme. But no, we only find out Aiwei is a traitor and Korra almost got kidnapped. By the way, I want you to check a video on Korra's Spirit channel. The video was posted months ago, and Brian revealed the main villain of the show in that picture, and it's not Zahir. Take a look at that video. Zahir might not be the only airbender out there. Well, no. I'm not going to do that. And the answer is this. It's not because I don't like you. It's not because I don't respect you. No. I want to watch this show and review the show as genuinely and organically as possible. Me going and watching something that will spoil the actual reveal of who the great big villain is, and if you're correct, then this is not all. We're looking for a double twist later on in the episode, or later on in the series, I should say. Then me seeing that, it's going to ruin my watching, because it's going to ruin whatever tension I feel. It's going to ruin whatever scenes I'm watching, because I'm going to be like, oh, he's not the bad guy. I'm waiting for the bad guy to show up. And then in that way, it breaks down the tension of the episode. And then an episode that might have been great only becomes moderate or good. Excuse me. Now, you are correct. Episode 8 was extremely misleading. Here we get, okay, we're finally getting the start of the Zahir plot. No. Episode 8 is not the start of the Zahir plot. Episode 8 is the prequel to the Zahir plot. It is the... If the Zahir plot was Lord of the Rings, Episode 8 is The Hobbit. It's the Hobbit series. That's what it is. It's the Phantom Menace. It's... Name a prequel, that's what it is. It's not... Nothing happens there that actually affects the main story we're looking for. The fact that there was a fight and Aiwei is revealed to be a traitor has next to nothing to do with the overall plot. I mean, it's a plot point. We see in this particular episode how that plot point pushes it forward, because by following Zahir, we get to... by following Aiwei, we get to Zahir and the actual reasons for them doing what they're doing. I get it. We need that. Those two episodes clearly go together. However, it doesn't redeem it. It doesn't make it good, because that episode is still complete filler. We literally could have I feel like we literally could have compressed that episode into a much smaller piece and then stuck that, and then the episode doesn't work on its own. It needs this episode. It really does need this episode as the payoff, because other than that, it just feels like, okay, here's a fight scene, here's a slight betrayal, let's move on. So I'm not going to apologize, but I'm going to say this. The episode 8, I fell very hard on it because I was expecting, okay, here's where we get a reveal. No, it's just more teasing till the reveal. So perhaps I was a little bit too hard on it. I will say that. I'm still going to say, look, it was very shticky. There was still quite a bit that happened in it that we really didn't need. As epic as it was, it's like a Transformers movie. There's very little to do with the story there, but there's very little to do with the story, but it is gorgeous to look at. That is essentially episode 8. It's a Transformers thing. The fact of the matter is, Terror Within is a reference to an 80s movie. Not even an 80s movie, a 70s movie. So that's, yeah. I'm not apologizing for episode 8. But I will say this, episode 9 makes up for it. Episode 9 makes up for it in ways that are just so wonderful. But yeah. Oh, we have one more. Yeah, that's all I have to say on that particular comment. Alright, we have one more comment, and this comes from March 800. He says, that was a radio, not a cell phone. I realize that now. At the time, I was like, wait, they have cell phones in the Korra universe? Look, they have dropped so much stuff on us in terms of Korra, just with all the updates that they have, like, oh, this is now a thing, or oh, this is now a thing. It's like, they just throw away things, like, or they just tell us things in throwaway lines that it's like, oh, that was, okay, well, that's an interesting thing. Maybe we should explore that a little bit more. But yeah, it looked like a really early version of a cell phone. So I said, oh, that's a cell phone? Wait, they have cell phones? No. So, okay, I apologize for saying the radio was a cell phone. But really, can you blame? It looked like a cell phone. What was I supposed to think? So, yeah, that's the discussion for this week. If you want more, leave bigger comments. I love you guys. You, my fans, are awesome. I've got the best fans in the world. I'll never say any different. But if you want me to talk more here, you've got to write more there. I've got to have really nice detailed comments in order to have a really nice detailed discussion, right? That's the thing with discussions. They're two ways. They're not one way. I can't provide all the detail. Alright, so that's been my technical critique. If you made it this far, you're awesome. Remember, like, favorite, subscribe. Leave that comment down below so that we can have a bigger, better discussion. This was an awesome episode. I expect to see long, detailed comments. And as always, I will see you next week.